Okay, got a phone call here about a wet ceiling. And years ago, we put a unit in here. And after we left, the customer had another company come in and blow in some insulation in the attic, and they stepped on or kicked the drain line or something and broke it. And once I came and realized that, he was so mad at them, he told me not to touch it, and he made them come back and fix it. So for about 3 years, everything's been okay. Now all of a sudden he's got a wet ceiling again. So let's go in here and see what they did. I think he's going to let me take control of it at this point. All right, I don't know what. That's what we call the non-itchy type. Doesn't itch as bad. Looks like they left a mess. Why would that big round pan be up here? And I see their clean out right on top of the trap there, and then I see their siphon vent with a cap in the, or anti siphon vent, that's what I call those. A cap on it and a hole drilled in it. And what is this? I do not know what that is. So I guess he has already cleared the drain line, but if we're going to have one of these, this should be much taller than it is, at least much taller than this, because if this is taller than that, then it can put water out of there. So there's no reason not to keep the anti-siphon vent there. I just think we're going to lengthen it and bring it up to where it at least cannot do what it did before. And honestly, this one should also be taller. So let's get both of those fixed, and then we'll go from there. All right. Whoever did this was just a little bit less experienced than some of us. You can see they glued the cap, and they did not glue, I popped these right out of the T's. So they had that backwards. You don't glue the cap, but you glue the T. And the stem, this piece of pipe here, needs to be 4 or 5 inches long, or as long as it can be, to be above the highest possible water level. So what happened is they had them like this, which is the P-trap, which this is just a clean out. I don't see any reason to vent it. But they had this coming in there, and then this lower one down here just filled up with water and came right out of the top because the line was clogged. So he vacuumed his line out, and it went back to draining fine, and it's drying out and everything's okay. But it's just going to happen again if it ever clogs again. I agree with the anti-siphon in very, very few cases, and this is not really one of those cases, but I'm going to go ahead and put it back. But I'll show you what I do, and we'll see what you think. All right, so I'm going to put this, and I'm not going to glue the cap, but I am going to glue this end into the T. I'm going to put that on top of the trap as a clean out. It'll let you pull this cap off and pour some cleaner down into the trap. That's before the trap, on top of the trap actually. And this I'm going to put back into the anti-siphon T area And none of this on the top is glued. But I will glue it right there as it goes into the T. So the water level cannot possibly get up high enough to get out that vent, but I'm going to have that vent facing down to where no debris could get in it, because the argument is that if you just, oh Lord, I put that on too tight. So the argument is that if you just leave the T vented into the attic like that, it can fill up with debris or insulation or somebody working on the roof or just whatever. The biggest messes I've ever seen was when they come put a new roof on and they cut a ridge cap in, ridge vent, and they just leave it. Just looks like squirrels ate the roof all the way across. And so anyway, this is what I'm going to put on there, and I'll show you what it looks like when we get it in place. Alright, so we've got them both in place. And there's the clean out right on top of the trap that allows you to pour some cleaner down in the trap. That cap is not glued right here, but the stem is. So that should be safe not to ever flow any water out. And then here's your Anti Siphon Vent that's glued right here, but none of this is glued, so you could take that off if you needed to deal with it. Now, if we were vacuuming out the drain, we'd probably stick a temporary cap right there so that we could vacuum through. I personally do not believe in blowing out drain lines. I use vacuum no matter what, or I just cut them apart and flush them and put them back together. Whatever I have to do, I don't put pressure on them. You know, this thing runs down here, all those joints over there, 10-year-old, 20-year-old glue joints, you can blow them apart. And if it's got a tough enough clog, you could have a problem. But anyway, this should have this fixed. And next time there's an overflow or a clog in the drain, it'll go into that pan and trigger the float switch like we want it to. So let's let them know they're okay now and we'll get out of here. That's how they noticed it. All right, well, that looks good. Nice and blue, a little dirt in the bottom. Sliding board. That is sort of tempting at the moment, but we've got another call to go to when we leave here. So let's take a look here. I don't see a whole lot of water coming out of that. Vacuum and see what we get out of that. Let's see what happens here. Some. That's ways. That thing's I knew something was going on here. When I pulled that apart, I about got a shower out here. Here's the one piece. I'll get it in the sun here. You can see it was problematic. Here's what connected the two together, was that contraption, a little short piece of copper that's pretty clogged, and then this garden hose coupling splice thing that has a real small hole. See, here we go, the trap is refilled, and now it's actually, and see, that's cold water there, that's actually streaming. That's I'll tell you, that was a mess. And so that's why it wasn't flowing. And this is what was sticking out. I wouldn't doubt it to be clogged all the way through. It's pretty bad in there. I guess you can see. Guess you can see that, but you can certainly see inside of that and this little bitty hole here. So I'm going to leave all that out and leave his gutter guard off and leave it just like that till he gets back. He's actually not in town right now, and that's good cold water, so I'm sure we got our trap full and we're back to draining normal now. Alright, well, he lives right on this main road too. Well, that just goes to show you that it pays to be thorough, and even though looking up in the attic and not seeing water anywhere, and him telling me he vacuumed it out, you would have thought, you know, problem solved, move on. But when I went outside and I saw that small amount of water coming out, I thought, you know, this isn't right. So I started vacuuming it and barely got anything. Well, we found the water, and it was just going back up in that hose again. I don't know why they got a hose and didn't figure out a way to get pipe across there, but obviously that was one of those deals where that house is old enough that it didn't have air and they added it. I would have drained that thing onto the other end of the house and went out the gable or something before I got over there and fought it through that area, but there's ways of getting pipe through those areas too, so I'm gonna let him get home and decide what to do, if he wants us to do something better or if he just wants to drain just like he's draining. But at least we got the restrictions and the gooped up stuff outdoors out of the way, and I'd hate to see, I mean, I fear to see what kind of 90 or what kind of kink or what it's doing to make that turn right there at the soffit and go over to the unit. So I don't know that that's really going to be over with until it's new pipe all the way out, starting right about where we put that anti siphon cap into that T. Obviously somewhere over there it turns into hose of that I just don't think much of hose, you know, being in a 130-degree attic. But nonetheless, got the problem solved, and we'll see what they want to do to make it permanent, but they should be okay today. So let's head to the next one.